Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today is kind of a couple days overdue, but we just had the 11th anniversary of the Xbox 360, and it's hard to believe that it's been 11 years since it came out. I didn't get mine. My 2009 Elite was the day they dropped the price from $399 down to $349, which was a great deal at the time, and I jumped on it. I had wanted one in the worst way. I saw how great the games were. I wanted a PS3 too, but there's something about the 360 and all the exclusives and how great the games looked, and I enjoyed Forza on the original Xbox so much that I had to have more of the same. So to me, the Xbox 360 was one of the greatest consoles ever made. I still love it today. I still play a shitload of games on it today because I can't get enough. In fact, just watching Garrett did a wonderful walking the walk on Alan Wake, which actually it's an older video that he did, but I've been going back through it. I've been watching a lot of his walking the walk where Garrett of Angry Centaur Gaming goes through and he talks about the minutia of the environments, the gameplay, all of the NPCs and how they interact with you, the environments, the lighting, the whole deal, and it's so fascinating. So I've been dying to play this, so I picked this up, Garrett. Thanks for the suggestion. I'm dying to play this. I also have the American Nightmare downloaded, which I'll be showing a little bit later. I'll show all the games that I have installed in my 320 gigabyte hard drive. But part of the reason why I'm doing this is because it is the 11th anniversary of the Xbox 360. We just had a few days ago the 15th anniversary of the original Xbox, which I ironically bought 1 week before the launch of the 360. So it's a great console. I'm going to just show a few of my favorite games, and this changes. I mean, my top 10 favorites, if someone puts a Mac 10 to my head, I don't know which ones I would pick first, but this morning, the way the coffee was gelling in my head and the caffeine levels and the light coming through the window, these were the ones that I picked out. So I'm going to quickly go through and show you just 10 of my top favorite games for the Xbox 360. It's such a great console. I still look at it as a contemporary, modern, fairly current gen console, even though I love the PlayStation 4, and I'm looking forward to getting an Xbox One S when I can, next year for sure, especially to play that Forza Horizon 3. But I just wanted to show you quickly a few of my favorites. They're in no particular order. Far Cry 3, what an incredible game. I've got about 35 hours in this. I still haven't finished it, but I just got carried away with the side quest and exploring. I'm dying to get back to this real soon. This is a wonderful game. I can't rave enough about it. I love the Far Cry 4. What I love about 4 is I think maybe even a bigger environment, and I like the mini helicopter a lot. I really like taking out convoys with a grenade launcher from my little mini helicopter. So cool. But Far Cry 3 story-wise and the tropical setting was fantastic. Highly recommended. A real gem that I love. Forza Horizon, the first one. This was the very first review that I think it was the first review that I did. It was either Forza Horizon, it might have actually been Far Cry 3, but both of these were early reviews in my channel. A little embarrassing to go back and watch those reviews. Now what I should do is put the few game reviews I've done and maybe put them in a playlist. I'll have to think about doing that soon so people can go back and see my passionate take on all of these great games. But I love the first 4 Forzas. I love Forza 2 is my favorite of the motorsports. I like the vibrant, colorful menus. It wasn't quite as at the level of sterileness. It's almost like being in a hospital when you look at the menus and a lot of the as clean as it is, and I appreciate clean graphics and graphic presentation, graphic design, but there's something about Forza 2 is very colorful, and that's another reason why I love Forza Horizon. Wonderful, vibrant menus, little things that pop up on the screen, speed demon, as you're racing, weaving in and out of cars. This has a lot more life, I think, with the menus, the HUD, the interaction that you get in this, even over the new one, as wonderful and as polished as it certainly is. They don't have the forced drive avatars, which I personally have an issue with. I feel that you should have the ability to turn those off. And I think that I've heard you can on some of the newer Forza. I know with Forza Horizon 2 it either has an adjustment or an option to shut those off, which is awesome. But man, I've got some serious hours. I've done every single race in this. all the DLC. I've spent a small fortune for the extra cars, the customization, everything is fantastic in Forza Horizon. My favorite racing game of all time, and it still is very playable today. Now, the day that the Xbox 360, the price went down, was also, ironically, the day that Wolfenstein from Raven Software came out in 2009. I think it was the latter part of the year. God, what an outstanding game. I thought nothing could top Return to Castle on the original Xbox and PC, but my God, the graphics on this, the supernatural powers, kind of like a parallel universe that you're in, exploring, going through this veil, and seeing everything looking very differently, the boss battles, 4 difficulty levels. This is a real gem, one of my favorite Xbox 360 games of all time. I'm hoping in time that they'll have the backwards compatibility with some of the more obscure games like Wolfenstein and some other ones I'm going to be talking about right after this. But I love this game to death. In fact, you can see my review of this as well. In fact, it's kind of ironic that the games that I've reviewed are ones that I'm really passionate about, that I really like. And so my reviews are going to be biased. I will point out the things that I notice about them, the little bugs and issues, and things like the difficulty level, how easy or hard it is and stuff like that. But for the most part, I rave about the positives of the games that I uphold in my profiles. But man, this is just an absolute gem. And I'd highly recommend this today. Really cool. The graphics still hold up well today. Made by the same company, Raven Software. Singularity. A criminal lack of PR in this game, unfortunately, but what an outstanding game. One of my good friends, Solid Rev, over on his channel, just found out about this. I was raving about both of these games. He's like, God, why didn't anyone tell me about how great this game was before? And it is great. An outstanding shooter. A lot of the kind of special powers, kind of like what you had with the Veil powers in Wolfenstein. Very similar mechanics in this, but it's a time travel gimmick that they have in this, where you go back and forth between 1955 and the present day in this secret Soviet island where they're doing all these crazy time experiments, and everything gets mutated and out of control. Really an intense game, and really challenging too. I love this game a lot. You can replay this multiple ways. It's such a great game. I'd highly recommend Singularity from Raven Software. Sadly, God, Raven Software did all these great games and Jedi Outcast and everything else, and they're relegated to making multiplayer maps for Call of Duty now. What a tragedy to see a great gaming studio. This is what we're missing today with new gen games on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, is the fact that we don't have a lot of these more obscure, software development companies and game development companies that make these unusual and intriguing games like this. So that's one of the things I love about the 7th gen, is that we just had, there's so many types of games that you can play. Now, speaking of shooters, this is one of my favorites. This is the first midnight launch game that I ever went to, was the first Black Ops. I don't know if it was the Rolling Stones or the Vietnam setting of the TV trailers, but man, I absolutely love this game. I waited for like 3 hours and 45 minutes in line to get this. They were like 130 games shy at the midnight launch, and there was a huge fight that broke out. The media coverage was on the TV news. They shut down that GameStop the following week, and I've never seen it again. In fact, I had to find a new GameStop, which is the very one I use today, years later. But I'll never forget my time with this or the midnight launch. I've replayed it again on the hardened level. I haven't tried it on the veterans level yet, or maybe I did. I think I tried 1 or 2 levels, and I was just rage quitting. I said, oh, that's it. So for me, the hardened level is about perfect, unless I really want to beat myself up and put it on the veteran level. But my God, what a great story. Excellent FPS action. I never played the multiplayer, but a fantastic game. I can't recommend enough. I play all the Call of Duty games simply for the campaign and the split screen, especially World at War. I play a lot of that. And this is right up there with World at War. Sometimes I pick World at War as my favorite. Other times I'll pick this one. Both are great. World at War I love in co-op. My nephew and I will spend a whole day playing that in co-op. It's all the way through the whole story. It's so good. Now this is a game that's not very well received, but it is my favorite Need for Speed game. I've had every Need for Speed game since 1995 with the original Need for Speed that was on the 3DO and the PS1, but the Need for Speed The Run, I'm a huge car guy. I absolutely love the Cannonball Run movie, and especially the Gumball Rally, which were kind of films that, that showed what it would be like to have a race from like New York to California wide open in a legal race at high speed with high stakes, and that's where this game delivers big time. I absolutely love Need for Speed The Run. It tried to tell a story. It's kind of douchey, the story, and the characters certainly. And there's actually a few parts where, like with quick time events, where you can get outside of your car and run, and you're evading cops and all this stuff. But overall, this game, I've played it so many times. I played the shit out of this online and actually did very well online. It's got a really high achievement score in this as well. Unlocked all the challenge modes and everything. I've got all the DLC for this. I've had a few friends I've recommended this to that were reluctant to try it, that have tried it, and have also agreed with me that it is one of their favorite Need for Speed games in the franchise. I can't rave enough about this. Not only that, but the cars actually handle better, slightly more realistic, similar to Shift, somewhere in between like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit that we had a few years ago, 2011, 12 in there, and then somewhere between that and like Need for Speed Shift or Pro. They're a little bit more realistic handling, but great high-speed driving, lots of great shortcuts, really challenging, and it really shows you the roller coaster of going from San Francisco to New York, all the way across America through the Rocky Mountains and avalanches. Lots of big set-piece moments in this race. I'd highly recommend this. Don't give up on this one. Give this game a chance. It's one of my favorites. The Bureau. XCOM Declassified. What an outstanding game. Surprisingly good. Sadly, 2K Marin closed their doors shortly after this, but this game, and I love the other top-down XCOM games, and like, Wasteland 2 Director's Cut. I love those type of strategy games, and they're very addictive. And I think that's why this didn't get good reviews. People were expecting more of the same. This one you actually kind of play up close and personal. You're down in there, kind of like in a third-person capacity, but you're closer to the action. You have your agents. It takes place in 1962, ironically the year I was born. And it shows kind of like an X-Files. It shows this government agency kind of covering up, this UFO phenomena, and basically an invasion across the country. It's an outstanding story, really cool characters, kind of a Mass Effect weapons wheel, a way you can, select your weapons and powers and what have you. A very, very cool game. I would highly recommend this. It's one of my favorite gems. It will always have a place in my Xbox 360 hard drive. Burnout Paradise. Now, I have quite a few of the Burnout games. I don't think I have 1 and 2, but I have like Burnout 3 Takedown. I have another one on the 360 as well, but I absolutely love Burnout Paradise. It still plays amazingly well today. It's one of the most fluid, high-speed, high-frame rate games you'll ever play. Wonderful, huge, epic jumps. Every time you hit one, it kind of pans back and shows the car in like a slow-motion deal. And it'll say super jump. Some of the best teeth-gnashing, bone-crunching wrecks you'll ever see. I love the animations of the car wrecks in this. Outstanding. A wonderful game. This is one of the quintessential racing games of all time for the PS3 or the Xbox 360. I highly recommend it. I have the Big Island DLC, all the car packs, everything. Again, this will always have a place in my hard drive, and I go to this often. I've beaten every aspect of this game, found every back alley, gone through every billboard. I absolutely love this game. And I've even played the multiplayer on this quite a bit with some of my local friends here in town, and actually had quite a bit of fun with it. Outstanding game. Burnout Paradise. Many of you know how great it really is. The game Rage. Now, for some reason, this game hasn't done real well in sales. I would have given anything to see a sequel to this. To me, this is one of the greatest FPS games ever made for the Xbox 360. Hundreds of incredible death animations. id Software, along with Raven, are some of my absolute favorite development teams that did the wonderful new Doom game, which I haven't played yet, the reboot, which looks fantastic. But they're the id Tech 5 game engine that they did. I followed this for years. I mean, like 3-4 years in development before it came out, long before Borderlands. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, this ripped off Borderlands in the post-apocalyptic setting, but actually Borderlands came after this. This was in development first, and it's an outstanding game. The ending is a little abrupt. I will validate some of the reviews that didn't like the ending. It's not that I didn't like it, I just thought it was a little abrupt, but it wraps up nicely. Not only can you upgrade all your weapons, you can actually upgrade the types of ammo that you use too. It has a lot of intricate sublayers to the RPG elements that I absolutely love. It has kind of a strange twisted metal car combat too, so which was really what the multiplayer was all about, was just car combat only. And then they had some different co-op missions that were similar to what was going on with the story, but like in a separate vein, some of the same arenas and what have you. Which I've never played the co-op. I'll have to try that with my nephew. I don't know if it's offline or online co-op, but this is a gorgeous game, and it plays the best on the Xbox 360. The frame rate and the texture pop-in is really still kind of crappy on the PS3. And I don't know if if it's been well optimized for the PC since it first launched. I know on the PC it was horrible. People had tons of problems, even on some really killer gaming rigs. But I love Rage. A wonderful game. You can probably pick it up for the cost of a damn burrito today. Highly recommend Rage. Give it a chance if you haven't played it. Final game, number 10, and my good friend Solid Rev knows how great this game is too, is Max Payne 3. I absolutely love the Max Payne series, and you'll see when I show my all the games I have downloaded in my Xbox 360 off Xbox Live Arcade that I have Max Payne 1 and 2 downloaded. I've played them so many times on the PlayStation 2 and on the original Xbox, but this was a great game. It really took me off guard. The story, the setting, shows a more tired over the hill, kind of like myself. I could really identify with a kind of tired over the hill, older, kind of a middle-aged character that Max had become. And there's great shots of showing in the present where he shaves his head bald, and then showing back to the New York days with his escapades with the mob and everything. A wonderful game, wonderful story, really good music, kind of fluid cutscenes that go very smoothly into the actual gameplay. I love the shooting in this. This game is tougher than a cheap steak too, really tough. I'm on the police station level halfway through. All I have is I'm on the second to the last level, and I kept dying over and over. I got to go back and finish. I'm so close. I found all the gold gun parts up to that point, and I'm anxious to go in and finish this. In fact, I may just replay it from the beginning. I might even try it on a harder level just to see if I can do it. But I love Max Payne, an outstanding and very violent shooter, wonderful animations, and this just shows how fantastic Rockstar is. I would love to see a next-gen version of this franchise. I think that much of it. So next one I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, my wife bought me, in fact it was just a couple days after, this thing's heavy, after, here it is, the Xbox, brand new Xbox 360E. I haven't even opened it up yet. This is, actually I'm filming this the morning of Thanksgiving. Right after Thanksgiving, I'm going to put up all the lights in the house and the Christmas tree and get everything kind of ready early for Christmas. My wife was so happy that I'm going to help her with all that. She goes, why don't you open your gift up early? So here it is. I'm going to do a quick unboxing. Many of you have seen these, Xbox 360. It's not that big of a deal, but some of you haven't. You had the older S model Slim, or maybe you still have playing with the Elite. Now I donated my 2009 one to my friend Mikey of his Mad Max 09 channel, and he had traded his in like many people did. He wanted a PS4, so he traded in a bunch of consoles and games, and then he kind of regretted it later. So I said, dude, here, you know what? I'm so happy with my new. I bought a 320 gigabyte new model. I already have one in there, which I'll show in a minute. It had a 250 gig hard drive. I went out and bought a brand new, at the time, that was the biggest one you can get, was a 320 gig hard drive. Then naturally, after I buy that, now they come out with a 500 gig model. So I've even maxed out the 320 gig one, believe it or not, with all my favorite install games, and a small fortune DLC, and Xbox Live Arcade games. So I wanted another one as a backup. I'm a real big believer. I think eventually the Xbox 360 will go offline and it won't be supported anymore. So I want to have two of everything. I want to have, and all I need to do is get one more PS3. I have all my older consoles. I have extras, PS2s. I have, a couple of PS2s, 3 original Xboxes, 2 Sega Genesis. I have 1 Super NES. I want to get one more of those too. I like to back up my consoles and a few of my favorite games. This is the Power Brick, which is a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, but and really nice design. I never had an issue with the Power Brick myself. Some people, went ape shit when they saw that the new Xbox One S get rid of the power cord. Frankly, I don't be nervous about it overheating now, but it comes with some nice cables, power cable, and you've got some, looks like RCA cables here. I don't know if it came with an HDMI cable or not, I'm not sure. Oh, what's in here? This is the controller. Brand new controller. I've got so many of these. In fact, my friend Angel sent me this wonderful Chrome series one, which I haven't even used yet. It looks so nice on my shelf up here. I've just kind of left it up here and haven't used it yet. I've got so many of these Xbox 360 controllers, but the new ones are all black instead of having the gray with the black, which I thought looked really nice. Just a really nice black. This is such a good controller. One of the best controllers ever made. I've got a lot of PC friends that still, use the Xbox 360 controller. Really good. It comes with batteries, cool. Very nice. Get some little paperwork and stuff in here. I'll grab this stuff out. It comes with games with gold. Now what I'll probably do is I'll initialize, probably change all the data over, and then on the one that I'm emptying out, because once you transfer the data from one Xbox 360 to the other, it wipes clean the other hard drive. So once it wipes clean the 320 gigabyte hard drive, I'll use this Xbox Gold code here, and I'll take that, and then I'll start up another new new username or sign-on, and then that way I'll have not one but 2 Xbox 360s, so I can have all on my 500 gig, have all my games and installs in that, and then have a whole bunch of additional installs on the other one, so that way they're not just limited to 500 gigs. That way I'm really using 820 gigs. So that's what kind of my plan is so far. You get a little simple startup, easy, how to do manual thing. And then I also got a code which I opened and used early on. You had a code for Need for Speed, no, not Need for Speed, what was it? Oh, Forza Horizon 2, which I now have permanently in my hard drive. So I got a code for that. I opened the box, and she didn't use that code for that. I have that, plus I got the Fast and Furious DLC as well, which I really enjoy, which is nice. So I think that was the last. I have the physical version of it as well, the Forza Horizon 2. It's a great game. Here's the actual console itself. Let me move the boxes here. There we go. Comes nicely taped up and wrapped here. Let me see if I can unwrap it. So not everyone jumped on board. Right after they came out with the Xbox One, they redesigned for the third time, or perhaps the fourth time, if you can not, because you have the white Xbox 360. Then they had the Elites, which I think were in white or black. Then they had the S model, which had kind of a bow tie, concave shape to the sides of them. But of all of them, believe it or not, I really like the simplicity of the E model. I like the two-tone piano finish. I think you lose your optical audio cable, if I remember right, out back. Yeah, it looks like you lose that. You do have HDMI ports. You've got your USB ports here. You've got an Ethernet port. But I think you do lose the optical audio. That's the only thing about this. And they have physical buttons here too. We have to actually push them in instead of the touch-sensitive ones they had on the S. But I like the fact that they emulated, in a way, the Xbox One, the first one, the VCR one. It looks very much like it, with kind of a two-tone matte finish with a piano finish. I usually always take these little stickers off and all that, but this is the 500 gigabyte model, and it's an outstanding console. These things are very well made. They run quiet and cool. And if you're going to think about the future and buying one, I literally bought this within 2 or 3 days after they announced that the Xbox 360 was going to be halted in production, because I said, you know what, people are going to make a run on these. and they're going to be gone. I went to our store, they had 2 left, we bought it. I mean, a week later they raised the price on these. I paid $199 brand new for the 500 gigabyte model. It was going to be my early Christmas gift. So now I'm going to transfer, all the data over, but I wanted just to show it just for people that hadn't seen one up close, or maybe perhaps seen an unboxing. You can get them dirt cheap. You can probably still get them online. People are probably selling them for more than $200 now on eBay. I think the price jumped up shortly after I bought this. But it's an outstanding investment, and it guarantees your legacy of Xbox 360 games for many years to come. I can't rave enough about this console and how much it's meant to me over the years. It's a wonderful, wonderful console. I have so many games. I built some shelves. I've got on both sides a pie here where I have about close to 150 Xbox 360 games. I absolutely love it. I have a list of maybe 20 or 30 more Xbox 360 games that I want to pick up and get from my collection. Now's the time to get them. They're really dirt cheap. My God, you can get some of them for $2, $3, $5, $12, $13, $20, all day long. It's a great deal. As well as the PlayStation 3. So I still have another 15 games or so for the PS3 I want to get as well, but I really am digging the Xbox 360. It'll always be, it's kind of my second favorite console after the original Xbox. I'm a huge Xbox fan. I just didn't warm up to the Xbox One initially because of the Kinect and the Force Connect at that, at $500, and there were just a lot of factors that kind of put me off, as well as a lot of other people. Don Matrix is, not now gone because of the Horde reveal deal and all that, but I am anxious to get an Xbox One S. I want to just get a small 500 gigabyte hard drive one just for the Forza Horizon 3, and perhaps some of the other Forza games if I can find out that I can toggle the drivatars off and all that. I'm just not into that, because some of them I've watched videos of drivatars. They're very reckless. They emulate quite often the poor driving of your friends, and you can't get rid of them. They're like a rash you can't get rid of. So I like the option, having options, of having offline gaming or online. And that's what I love about the Xbox 360. I also rip a tremendous amount of music into mine. All my favorite jazz CDs and rock CDs, I put the CD in, you can rip the thing into the hard drive, take it out. It has this wonderful little music player. I use it all the time through my JBL sound system. It sounds like a fantastic stereo, and you get a wonderful high-def light show on my 55-inch Samsung. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to segue now and show you what I have in my present 320 gigabyte hard drive that I'm going to be transferring over. I love this console to death. I know many of you love it too. So now I'll show you what's next. Now I'll show you my my interface here. I still have a few friends. I don't play the Xbox online that much anymore at all. I don't have Xbox Gold. Let me see how much of my hard drive I have left. I think I've used most of it up. Yeah, I've got enough for maybe a game or two. Probably a couple games I can squeeze on there. Pretty much maxed it out, and I'll show you what I've got in the way of games. I also have a lot of music. Quickly, I'll just show you my music. I love this music app. A lot of people don't even use this or know that it's around. You can rip the disc. If you put a disc in, it'll show on current CD. But then you can pull the disc out and just play right off the hard drive, and it sounds fantastic. So I have like the Fury Road soundtrack. I don't want to get a copyright deal, but I could play some of these fantastic. And you have a wonderful screensaver deal that goes with the music with multiple different patterns, and so you can pick out the one that you like the best. It's a really cool thing. I love it. It's a great deal. Let me shut this off or I get a copyright strike. But I have all of my favorite soundtracks, and lots of jazz, the Eagles, Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, tons of Miami Vice soundtracks, and all the stuff that I like to listen to when I come home. Sometimes I just put Star Wars, the original A New Hope soundtrack. It's a great thing to rip your CDs in here. It makes a wonderful music player with my JBL sound system. It sounds so damn good. I love the the visuals that also accompany each of your songs as you're playing them. It's so cool. So that's a music player. Just show you that I've ripped a whole bunch of CDs in there. Here's my games. These are ones that are... Now, what I like about the 360 is I like to install my games. I find the performance is better. In fact, I get rid of... I had a Deus Ex Human Revolution that I had a special director's cut of, but for some reason you can't install that game on the hard drive. So it makes your 360 work that much harder. So I highly recommend installing your games in the hard drive. That way they're in there, the load times are just a little faster, it's just a little bit better performance, and it just saves the wear and tear on your Xbox 360. But these are the games I have in here. I mean, here's a sought after Afterburner Climax. Now what's great is when you bought these games early on, even though they aren't available to buy, it shows you in your history of downloads what you bought. And you have the ability, if you've already paid for it, you can re-download those things off Xbox Live Arcade, and it's a beautiful thing. So I got the wonderful, Afterburner Climax, which you can't even get anymore. A wonderful 360 game. There's just a few of these that were fantastic games. Sega has a lot of great games, on the Xbox 360, as pretty much the Xbox is kind of a continuation of the Dreamcast with a lot of the great Sega games. So this thing will take forever. I was kind of hoping to... so it goes off, go off the hard drive. Start button, arcade.
Select aircraft. Super Tomcat.
Pretty cool. It's a fantastic system. I love the Xbox 360. The graphics still look great. My new Samsung 2015 8500 series upscales beautifully. It's a great deal. Great graphics. I love this thing. It's so cool. Just to show you a little bit of that, but such a great, so many wonderful arcade games off Xbox Live Arcade, which is why I absolutely love the system. So, getting back to my games, you can't unfortunately get the Afterburner Climax anymore. I got Aliens, Colonial Marines, and the Stasis Interrupted DLC, which is actually has a better story. It rounds out the story better than the original game. Now that they've patched it, the game plays and looks so much better. I really love Aliens Colonial Marines. Alpha Protocol, I heard Carrot at Angry Centaur Gaming raving about this game. And then I heard other people that love it as well because it's an unusual, kind of a James Bond style spy RPG. And it looks really cool. By a company that knows all about making great RPG games. I'm dying to play that. American Nightmare, they had a deal. I bought that dirt cheap. You can see some of it says Xbox One. The ones you can play on the Xbox Ones that are backward compatible, it lets you know, which is kind of nice. Birds of Steel, I still want to get some of the DLC for that. It looks like a great flying game. That's a recent game that I got recently. The Game Black. For some reason, there's no graphic for it. But it's a better version of the wonderful Game Black that you could play on the Xbox and on the PlayStation 2. Highly recommended. Brothers, a wonderful little game by Starbreeze Studios, one of my favorite developers. Burnout Paradise I just talked about. Call of Duty Classic. This is an outstanding game that you could only play before on the PC. Now it's available off Xbox Live Arcade. Highly recommended. Choplifter HD, kind of a fun little reboot of the series. Not a bad game. It's not bad. It's fun. Not as fun as a lot of these other games, but I still like having it in my collection. This is one of my favorites. Call of Juarez Gunslinger, an outstanding FPS game with a lot of character. I really love the game quite a bit. Call of Juarez, the Cartel, is one of my favorite shooters of all time. I love it too. It's hated by many, but it's a very unique urban shooter I can't get enough of. The game Crackdown, one of my absolute favorite Xbox 360 exclusives of all time. I absolutely love this game. I never played the second one. My buddy Angel's going to send me a physical copy of it because I donated mine to my friend Mikey when I gave him my
other 360 Elite, so it would be nice to have the physical copy just as a backup, even though I have the whole game. I think it was Xbox Live, or X Games with Gold. It was a free game, one of the very first ones that I got for free. Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, an outstanding original Xbox game that you can also download, and it plays and looks amazing on the 360. My good friend Industrial Gamer Cameron gave me a code so I could download the game Crisis, the very first Crisis, as well as he gave me Crisis 2 and 3 on a physical disc, which I could play as well. This one I downloaded. I had a hard time finding the Xbox 360 version of this. I just went ahead and bought it off the store just to have it until I can find a physical copy. But I love to Destroy All Humans. I'm actually playing on the PlayStation 4 right now, the first one. It's a great game to have in there. Dogfight 1942, not bad. It's kind of a stripped down, streamlined dogfighting game. I have a lot of DLC for that as well. Duke Nukem Manhattan Project, a really unusual game. I think it might have been on the PC and they ported it to the 360, and it shows that it plays on the Xbox One. It's very cool. Duke Nukem 3D, I got so many versions of this, from the PlayStation 1 version to this one. And now I've got the Atomic Edition for the PlayStation 3, and now the new World Tour 30th Anniversary for the PS4. I love Duke Nukem, and I love all of these in my collection. I'm a huge Duke Nukem Forever fan. I don't care what the haters say. I've got into some real disagreements with people, spirited debates, if you will, over that one. But I personally like it. I think it's great. I think the world is a better place for having it. Yeah, it's not perfect, and the visuals are uneven at best, but it's very challenging and kind of a throwback to an old circle strafing FPS game that we were used to in the 90s. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I love this game. What a great game, a brilliant concept, and that's why I was open-minded with Far Cry Primal, because they did such an outstanding job deviating from the norm. Far Cry 3, you can see I've installed that there. Far Cry Classic, I've never played, but I was thrilled to finally have that available in the Xbox Live Arcade. I've got the Fast and Furious DLC. Here we go, Forza Horizon, the first one. I have that downloaded, installed in here. Forza Horizon 2, I have the whole game installed. This is the game that the code came with my brand new 500 gig Xbox 360 Elite. I'm thrilled to have this in my collection. Forza 2, my favorite Forza Motorsports game. I love 4 too. I don't have 3 yet. I've got to get 3 for my collection just to have it. But I really like the colorful menus in 2. And it's just not as sterile and hospital-like as Forza 4. I have a small fortune of DLC in the Forza Motorsport 4. Several season passes plus tons of car packs, hundreds of dollars worth of DLC. It's an outstanding game. Runs at 60 frames a second and looks great on the 360. Galaga. I mean, I had to have this. I absolutely loved Galaga. Such a great arcade game. I spent so much time in the arcades playing games like Galaga. So it's great to have that in here. GTA 4. I'm about in the halfway point. The cell phone thing kind of put me off and I got frustrated with it and I just stopped playing it. But I need to finish that game. This one I have, maybe 25 or 30 hours and replaying this. This is a great new HD edition. It really does have better, people say, oh, it's just the Xbox ported over, but it's not. They redid it, better lighting, better reflections in the cars and things. It's an outstanding game. I'd highly recommend getting one of these newer versions of the San Andreas. It's one of the few that they redid it, and it really looks really damn good and fun to play. Hydro Thunder, one of my absolute favorite arcade games. I love it to death. You can see I have all my LA Noire discs 1, 2, and 3 in here. Mafia 2, an outstanding game. I have all the DLC for this too. It's all downloaded in here. I wonder if I have the Game of the Year edition with everything in it. I absolutely love Mafia 2 to death. A wonderful game. Max Payne, outstanding. This is the very first Max Payne, and then I also have the Fall of Max Payne. So I have 1 and 2 and 3, as you can see here on 2 discs. The first Medal of Honor from 2010. I'm actually in the process of playing this right now. I went back through to start replaying this, and then I also want to play Medal of Honor Warfighter. Medal of Honor Warfighter right when I'm done with this. One of my favorite FPS games. It's highly overlooked. A lot of people gave it really shit reviews. I think a lot of it was for political reasons. But it's a great game. If you want to play a really wonderful shooter, I think with great graphics and animations and lighting, you really can't beat the Medal of Honor games. They have a lot of invisible walls and things, but still a lot of fun to play. Midnight Club Los Angeles, outstanding. I have all the DLC. I love this game to death. Some of my intros have some scenes from this. I love this game so much. You can just upgrade your cars to death. They look awesome. It's very close to LA, even more so than GTA 5. Did a wonderful job recreating Los Angeles. It's actually more accurate. Nine Inch Nails, many other great bands of music. Medal of Honor Airborne. I've replayed the entire game. I played it initially on the PlayStation 3, and now I'm replaying it on the Xbox 360. I'm actually on the last level. I just got stuck. I couldn't beat it. I kept dying over and over, and I rage quit it one day. I haven't finished it, so I got to go back and finish that. Need for Speed The Run, I just raved about that. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. This has all the DLC, the Porsche packs, the Lamborghini packs. An outstanding game. Now, when I bought my 320 gig hard drive, which I installed, it came with the full game, with the full code for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. So I'm thrilled to have that permanently in the hard drive. I can play it right now without inserting the disc. Outrun Arcade, to me, in my opinion, and believe me, I'd like to find Coast to Coast from my original Xbox, but the Outrun Online Arcade is the best Outrun game in the series. It plays buttery smooth, fluid animations, wonderful music, really a fantastic game. Pinball Effects 2, another one. I think I have a lot of DLC for this too. Tons of extra pinball packs. Some evenings I would come home from work and I would just get lost in my Pinball FX2. Really a great go-to game to play anytime. Whether you just have 15 minutes to kill or a half hour, it's perfect. Here's Rage 1 and 2. You know how much I love that game. Sega Rally, another outstanding game. The graphics look so damn good. Here's another one. They had a Games with Gold I got for free. I love snowboarding games. You can see I've got the Big Air Edition right here next to it, which is my favorite exclusive for the Xbox 360, along with Crackdown, is the Big Air Edition Stoked. But SSX, which I also have for the PlayStation 3, a wonderful snowboarding game. Very much like a lot of the SSX Tricky and SSX 3 that I love so much. It has the best of all worlds in one killer game. I was so thrilled to get that with the Games for Gold for free thing. The Bureau, XCOM, Declassified, I've raved about that. Time Shift, I'm about a third of the way into this right now. This game I've been playing off and on. Very good. It came out of left field by Sierra Games. An outstanding shooter with really cool time elements. You can shift back and forwards in time, kind of freeze your enemies to get past them and what have you. It's so cool. Very cool, highly underrated game is Time Shift. Trials Evolution and Trials HD. I've put some serious time into these and some major rage quitting. I mean, brutally challenging. Brutally challenging. My nephew did one level 157 times until he beat it. That's how persistent he is. I gave up by the 20th time I died. I said, that's it, I'm done. And I have The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, which I've raved about. A lot of people absolutely hate it. To me, it's kind of a spiritual successor to Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green, which I rave about for the original Xbox. I love The Walking Dead TV show. This has Daryl and Meryl, their likenesses and voices in it. And it's a very cool kind of a survival simulator, or a zombie simulator, with more realistic zombies. They're slower moving, kind of like the George Romero style ones. Very intense, and some really cool new dynamics in a zombie game that I've never seen. I highly recommend The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. The graphics are a little stale, but it's a great game. The gameplay itself is solid. Wolfenstein from 2009, what can I say? A wonderful game. It'll always have a place in my hard drive. So those are my games, you know, and that's pretty much it. It's a great, you know, it's still hooked up to the internet. I can still go in here and buy games and get deals, and do the gold if I want to. It has, you know, a YouTube app. Sometimes I go in here and watch YouTube. It's a wonderful deal. I have a couple profiles. I think I have 2 profiles in here, if I remember right. View games, edit profile. Yeah, I've got a couple profiles. I think I have to go back into Oh, here it is. Sign in and out. I can sign in or out as here's my other profile. It's Wolfenstein Dean. That was when I first got my first Xbox, and then when I got the new one, I didn't know that you could transfer everything over, so I just started a new profile. So those are my achievement scores between that one and the other one. But and this is my nephew when he comes into town. He comes in and he plays that one, Lord Infidel. But it's a great game. I absolutely love the Xbox. A great system. I love the Xbox 360. It's so much fun. It's a wonderful system. I have the fondest memories playing on it, and I just don't want to give it up. I want to see it last forever. So that's why I backed up my Xbox 360 with a second brand new E. So I'm going to guarantee my legacy of 7th gen games. I'm going to have eventually upwards of 200 games for the Xbox 360, and I want to be able to play them now or 20 years from now. And I believe if you have all the patches and updates and games installed in your hard drive with the physical disc, there's no damn reason why you can't. So that's why I'm a big fan, a believer in backing up your consoles whenever you can. So that's my spiel on the Xbox 360. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, and no matter what they are, enjoy your games.